Hey guys, Justin here. Quick note, if you want to see guides like this and my ARCA guides 3 or 4 days early, you can join my membership by clicking the join button down below, and for only $2 a month you'll have access to all the early guides, along with access to my telemetry so that you can compare our lap times directly with things like throttle input, brake input, and steering input. Alright, thanks guys, let's get right to the lap.
Dude, I'm halfway done with this battle class.
53.17.
Alright, so let's take a look at that. So we're going to start at the outlap here as per usual, and what we're seeing here is we're just going to run the top here, and I really don't run the top at any point during the race or the qualifying, so this is kind of different than what you're going to see in the race or anything. So what I do is I kind of back off the throttle full for a little bit on my outlap. This is straight from pit road, and then I just kind of get back onto it to about 2/3 or half. And then the goal is to just carry the line just down the hill slightly, but not past the seam and without losing control of your rears. So if you hear sliding, that means you're not carrying the amount of speed that you could optimally carry. So here I'm just kind of driving it slightly down the hill. You see a little looseness. So I'm losing, every time I get loose, you lose about maybe 1/100th from your run up. So overall good enough. Still maybe a little bit slower than we want to see, but it still carries decent speed into turn 1 here. And so with turn 1, I'm not going to be using any brake. I'm going to back it down to half throttle and then aim the car at the first seam and then kind of land the car anywhere between this first seam and kind of halfway up. If your left wheel is anywhere between these points, that's good enough. So we half throttle it, and I see I'm kind of on the higher end of that range that I just gave, maybe in the middle of it, but pretty much in the range, and we're holding that half throttle all the way through this. And then the car is going to start driving up the hill, and you see once it starts going up the hill, I just slowly but surely add throttle into it. And this is because if we put full throttle into it at this point, it would just go up into the wall. But if we were just to hold the half throttle, we would kind of not use the real estate that we have. We have a lot of real estate to build up momentum. And like think of Darlington, you kind of go up to the wall and you diamond back down. You carry more speed in Homestead if it has anything. It has long straightaways. So it really prioritizes momentum carrying. So even though it might be the fastest way around to kind of wrap it around the seam here by holding the half throttle, you actually are able to get to full throttle quicker by doing this diamond and starting to drive the car down the hill and make it a straighter exit. So wanting to make it a straighter exit, we bring it all the way up to the wall, and then I am full throttle at the exact moment the car is in parallel with the wall. So if you think of the journey from the seam to the wall as going up and down a hill, then you want to be putting your throttle into full when you reach the very apex of that hill. This is kind of a diamond. But the thing about this diamond is we don't really care where the car takes us on exit, because the moment we step on that throttle at the apex of the hill, then what's going to happen is the car is going to get loose. And when the car gets loose, all we got to do is feel out what our rear tires want us to do. Sometimes it'll be a little bit more loose and drive towards the seam here, and you can let it do that. Sometimes they'll feel more fully engaged, and that's when you keep it closer to the wall. So optimally, you want the tires to be fully engaged at this point and just kind of drive the car a little bit tightly off the corner, but that's not going to be the reality. You're going to get some aspect of looseness, so you pretty much just let the car chase itself down the hill as long as possible without ever sliding its rears. So that's basically I was able to stop chasing the car at about right here, and so I kind of locked in my line and kept it about a half a lane up from the seam. And you see how my wheel stays pretty darn steady here. And you can see that because I was able to engage those rears early, now I'm carrying a bunch of speed down the straightaway. All right, so now we're gonna go to 3 and 4. We have a bunch of speed. And so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the bottom. I really am an advocate of using the bottom over the top in 3 and 4, even in qualifying, because there's some bumps right here. And you go over those bumps and you have to slow the car down. The car wants to slide up to the wall in the middle of 3 and 4. You just lose more momentum than you do in 1 and 2. And if you're losing momentum on the top line, there's no reason to ever be taking it. So what I do here is I want to make a semi-wide arc into the white line here, and I'm going to accomplish that by going half throttle most of the way down the hill, and then just about by the time that we get to the seam. So just before we get to the seam, I switch out my half throttle for a brake drag. And so this final brake drag, if I was just on that half throttle all the way through, I would just kiss the white line and go straight back up. But it's actually a little bit faster to stay on this white line for a little bit longer period of time because you're shortcutting a lot of the corner. And if you're just driving up the track from this point, you're sliding your tires a lot, you're not gaining much momentum. And if you're not gaining much momentum, there is a better way to do it. So we are just keeping the momentum that we have by dragging the brake for a very small amount of time along the white line. And then we pick it back up to half throttle. So 1/2 to 2/3 throttle is the throttle that you'll want to put into the car if you don't want to come off the white line yet. And I suggest that you stay on the white line just about, I would say, yeah, this was actually really good. So you want to stay on the white line almost as far as this grass goes. Maybe a little bit earlier, but you see here that I kind of waited on the white line longer than you would think for a hot lap, but when I was ready to start drifting off the white line, I go full throttle and you drive it really smoothly up to the wall. It doesn't really even get that loose. And you see I'm able to cut off a couple hundredths off of my previous best lap because I gassed up earlier. So even though I had some initial momentum there, the shortcutting of the exit makes up quite a few hundredths, and then you don't have any real disadvantage in speed because you were kind of sliding your tires if you gassed up early. So really be patient on your throttle. And by be patient, I mean hold it at half throttle. Don't be like full off the throttle. That's not going to do anything for you. But when you get back on the throttle here, this 1/2 to 2/3 throttle will really keep you on the white line. And then you just slowly ease it up and let the car come off the white line when it wants to. And if you timed it all well enough, it'll stay on for long enough to where you really still get a good run off the corner and you're able to shortcut a lot of the corner. So that's a good lap there, a really good lap, honestly. So let's see how we did in the race. All right, so we got a interesting race in there. Ended up finishing 15th, but we obviously a lot better than that. So we'll see what happens, some tips, and how to move forward from here. So anyways, let me turn this down. And so I got pole off the start. So my goal was essentially to just save for as long as possible on the bottom. You can see my saving line here. I was kind of uncontested. We had an early caution, but after that, there were no cautions till the very end, which we'll see later. So here, let's say I'm on like lap 10 of the run or so right here. And so this is my tire saving line. Kind of just go to the bottom, put a little brake in it so that it gets to the bottom, then partial throttle to get the car loose. And then make sure not to slide the tire too much, but also keep it on the right rear. Kind of like ARCA, very, very good. So we do that in 3 and 4 as well. Little tiny brake taps to get to the bottom, and then patient partial throttle along the bottom, and then make sure not to slide up too early, but also that loose condition right there wasn't great for me. I wish that I could have come off the white a little earlier to prevent that slide there. So that has some detriment on the right side tires, or on the rear tires, so that's why you don't want to do that. So anyways, get to like lap 30 or so, or I think it was, yeah. So some tire burners coming behind me, and after apparently blocking in this corner, you know, the classic block where you take the second lane and he doesn't like it. So anyways, I give it to him because he's throwing a bit of a fit, which is fine. I mean, I don't want to burn my stuff off anyways, so since he's ripping high line this early in the run, I'm happy to let him go at this point. So I end up naturally chasing him back down after like a few laps. It makes me wonder if I even should have tried to pass him because his tires were about to burn off. I think that if I would have defended him, it would have worked out better because I only needed to defend him for like 3 more laps before his tires were gone. So anyways, we get back to him and we actually side by side for a while because it's an interesting way to race where everyone just kind of slide jobbing everyone. And then, so the top line is a really good defensive line, so I can kind of like slide job here. And you see, he also didn't appreciate me sliding up a full car length in front of him. You know, that's fine, I guess. That's how it goes. And now he gets to slide job me here, and well, what do you know? That's no problem for me. And then I slide job him back. That's a big problem for him. And so anyways, eventually, after this lap, I get a good little shove, and he takes it low, which is a really bad idea to do if you're defending. You want to be high like pretty much every corner if you're defending. And then the pass to make is bottom side 3 and 4 because you're not going to get as good of a run on the top of 3 and 4. So the slide jobs are a lot easier to make happen in 3 and 4 than they are in 1 and 2. So here finally, hey, he puts himself in the wall. I mean, he complained about this a lot too. I mean, give me the shove. I don't care. It's freaking racing. But, you know, whatever. Complained about that. And so I ended up burning off too much tires and that ordeal. And Zeke was doing really well, just waiting behind everyone and taking advantage of it. I was really hoping I could get those two in between me and Zeke, and then he would have had to burn tires to get past them. But because he was able to get by them because he put himself in the wall, then now he's right here with me. And now he's got slightly better tires, and eventually he just makes it work. He's able to do the slide job move on me. So you can get side by side in 3 and 4. And I just kind of blow 3 and 4 because I never run high in 3 and 4. I just don't like it. I needed to get on the gas later, and I just got on too early, and I slid all the way up, and that was bad. So if I was able to wait a little bit more, then I might have been able to defend it, but he was on better tires anyway. So that should have been the race, and then in classic C-Fix fashion, you know, we got 2 laps to go, and back markers self-spinning to bring out a caution. That's why we love C-Fixed. So anyways, we come down pit road, and really fun stuff here. He's trying to cause me to speed by pushing me into pit road, see 63 miles an hour, trying to force me to speed. And then when I get on the brakes, he claims I brake check him like we're not supposed to be pit road speed or something right here. So he's mad at me again, woohoo. And so because he's so mad at me here, he literally goes out of his way to spin me into my pit stall, which woohoo, oopsie, you know, something about I'll turn in when I'm ready to turn in after trying to force me to speed onto pit road. You know, and a lot of us know this guy and we know he does this stuff, so it's not super surprising. So I kind of pull an audible here and I go in for 2 just to try to salvage as much track position as possible. And I come off in like top 10 still. And then come to the green here, spin tires. You really want to be careful on the throttle. I spun them a little bit, had a guy on my back. But no, I didn't really have a guy on my back. I just spun my tires. It was kind of rough. I'd try to give room after spinning them. So, you know, and then put the final chair and Chop Piece spins himself off my nose and screws both of our races. So he had a really good day. I had a really good day. But I think the main takeaways from this race are those long run details where you want to be on the bottom, saving, being really ready for a late run. And then if you want to make those passes, you use the top of 1 and 2 to build the momentum. And then you use the bottom of 3 and 4 to make the pass, slide up in front of them. They shouldn't have too much momentum. And you kind of rinse and repeat until they're not able to make the crossover back on you in one of the corners. And then if your tires are super different, you can kind of just get away with kind of staying under them on the exit of a corner and building your momentum that way. But that's just about it. I might run another one of these. It was pretty fun, besides the party pooper that was in the race. But, you know, I still think it was a pretty fun race, to be honest. So we didn't get the result, but we'll get them next time. So hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you all on the track.